Are we witnessing the end of the dollar's reign? The gloves are off in the economic battle between the US and China, and the latest moves are sending shockwaves through global finance. Remember when the rhetoric ramped up? Accusations of unfair trade practices, currency manipulation, it all led to real action. Tariffs slapped on billions of dollars worth of Chinese goods. And now, the countermove from Beijing isn't a whimper. It's a calculated strike right at the heart of the dollar's dominance. China has just taken one of the most audacious steps in recent financial history, officially integrating its digital yuan into international payment systems. This isn't just a minor adjustment, it's a direct challenge to the US dollar's long-held supremacy. The digital yuan, China's central bank digital currency, is now a key player in cross-border transactions with the 10 nations of ASEAN. That is a massive economic bloc in Southeast Asia, and with 6 countries in the Middle East. Translation: a significant chunk of global trade, over a third by some estimates, is now bypassing the traditional Western payment system, SWIFT, which has historically been dominated by the US dollar. And China's timing couldn't be more strategic. With US tariffs escalating, global economic uncertainty rising, and trust in the traditional Western financial system showing cracks, Beijing is seizing the moment. This isn't just about facilitating trade, it's a clear strategic response. It's like saying, you build walls with tariffs? We're building digital bridges that don't need to go through New York or London anymore. Hey, money explorers, welcome back to Money Made Easy. We've reached a critical juncture. The clash between these two economic titans isn't a future possibility. It's a present reality. This isn't just a trade dispute. It's a geopolitical thriller unfolding in real time, with potentially irreversible consequences for the global financial order. How did we get here so quickly? From Washington, the message has been clear. It's time to get tough on China. The current administration, like its predecessor, has shown a willingness to use tariffs as a primary weapon. We've seen waves of tariffs imposed on Chinese imports, targeting everything from electronics to apparel, citing concerns about intellectual property theft and unfair trade imbalances. The U.S. argument is that these tariffs are necessary to level the playing field and bring manufacturing back home. But if you think these tariffs only hurt China, think again. The interconnectedness of the global economy means the pain is felt on both sides. China remains one of the largest trading partners of the United States. American businesses rely heavily on Chinese manufacturing for a vast array of goods, from consumer electronics and clothing to critical industrial components. These tariffs act as a tax on American businesses and, ultimately, on American consumers. We're already seeing reports of increased prices for everyday goods, and economists warn that further escalation could lead to higher inflation and slower economic growth right here in the U.S. The dream of bringing all manufacturing back to America faces the harsh realities of higher labor costs, the lack of readily available and affordable raw materials, and complex global supply chains that have been built over decades. And while the U.S. has attempted to exclude certain strategic materials from these tariffs, the reality is that China holds significant leverage in key sectors, particularly in rare earth elements and other critical minerals essential for green technologies and advanced manufacturing. Beijing has already hinted at restricting exports of these crucial materials, a move that could severely impact U.S. industries and its ambitions in sectors like electric vehicles and renewable energy. This strategic advantage is a key reason why China hasn't necessarily rushed to the negotiating table on U.S. terms. Instead, Beijing has been strategically planning its long-term response, and the integration of the digital yuan into international payments is a major part of that strategy. It's not just about trade, it's about fundamentally reshaping the global financial architecture. This move by China to promote the digital yuan in international trade isn't just a symbolic gesture. It's a concrete step towards de-dollarization, a trend that has been gaining momentum for years. For over 8 decades, the US dollar has been the undisputed king of global finance, the primary currency for international trade and reserves. This dominance gives the U.S. significant economic and geopolitical power. However, decades of U.S. foreign policy decisions and the weaponization of the dollar through sanctions have pushed many countries to seek alternatives. This isn't necessarily an anti-American sentiment. It's a pragmatic response from nations seeking greater economic sovereignty and reduced exposure to the political whims of a single dominant power. China, as it often does, is acting rather than just talking. Its strategic alliance with the ASEAN nations, its largest trading partner and key players in the Middle East, is a calculated move to build a parallel financial ecosystem. Trade between China and ASEAN alone reached staggering figures, and a significant portion of this can now be settled outside the SWIFT system, bypassing the need for U.S. dollars and U.S. regulatory oversight. Think about the implications of this new digital infrastructure. It drastically reduces the settlement times for international transactions, from days to mere seconds. Imagine money moving from businesses in Asia to the Middle East without the need for multiple intermediary banks, lengthy delays, and hidden fees. Transaction costs could plummet, making trade more efficient and potentially undercutting the traditional banking system. When money moves this quickly and cheaply, the old, slower, and more opaque systems start to look outdated and less competitive. Countries and businesses that remain outside this evolving digital network risk being left behind. This isn't just about convenience. It's about building a new financial reality. For China, this is a deeply strategic play, combining its Belt and Road Initiative's infrastructure investments with a cutting-edge digital financial architecture. These two massive projects can now reinforce each other, facilitating trade flows without relying on the traditional U.S.-centric financial system. De-dollarization, in this context, isn't just an economic issue. It's about national security and building a more resilient and independent global financial network. China aims to achieve two fundamental goals: global financial connectivity that is not subject to Western political pressures and greater use of the yuan as a key reference currency for international trade. This isn't some theoretical experiment. It's a network that's already showing concrete results, with businesses in Asia and the Middle East already settling payments in real time using the digital yuan. Central banks in the region now have direct access to an alternative payment system. As the digital yuan becomes more accessible and widely used, each new transaction settled in yuan chips away at the dollar's dominance, one step at a time. What we're witnessing is the gradual emergence of a multipolar currency world. The decades of U.S. dollar dominance might be slowly drawing to a close. It won't necessarily be replaced by one single currency like gold or Bitcoin, but rather by a mosaic of strong currencies vying for influence. This is precisely the vision of the BRICS nations: to create a more balanced and equitable global trade and investment landscape, less susceptible to the systemic risks associated with a single dominant currency. This new digital payment platform is designed to empower the financial infrastructure of Asia and the Middle East, making local economies more resilient and fostering a new era of regional cooperation, with China positioning itself as a leading economic power in its geopolitical sphere. This leadership is now built not just on factories and shipping containers, but on software and payment systems. In the long run, this could foster greater stability and alliances through trade. For those wondering how long the dollar's dominance will last, the answer is complex. Its demand will likely decrease gradually but inexorably. It might not be replaced outright, but it will be joined, marginalized, and perhaps eventually even surpassed as the world seeks greater balance, sovereignty, and less reliance on a single currency. China's digital yuan initiative is just one significant tool in this global shift. What's emerging is a new global currency order, more like a network than a pyramid, where direct connections are possible without always going through a central hub. This is what China is building: an autonomous, secure, and resilient financial network. While many still think in terms of a traditional Cold War, the new battleground is digital and financial, often invisible but incredibly powerful. It's a war for control of global financial flows, and China has just made a significant leap forward. Let me know what you think. Is de-dollarization a passing trend, or are we truly entering a new global monetary era? Write your thoughts in the comments below. Like this video if you found it insightful, and consider checking out my other videos on global finance. Thanks for watching, and happy investing. Ciao.